We often think career success is the key to happiness, only to realize we've missed precious moments with family. We believe raising accomplished children will bring joy to parents, yet find that after pouring in resources, our kids feel more distant than ever. Does each fulfilled goal leave you with a hint of regret? Where can we find a truly fulfilling life and real happiness? How will you measure your life? Explores career, family, and personal values, providing 3 essential metrics for living a happy life. The book's author, Clayton M. Christensen, was a professor at Harvard Business School and was named a top 50 business thinker by Harvard Business's Thinkers 50 in 2011. Known as the father of disruptive innovation, Christensen won the McKinsey Award for Best Article 5 times and authored The Innovator's Dilemma. He served as a consultant with the Boston Consulting Group, founded 4 companies, including CPS and InnoSight, and passed away in Boston, Massachusetts, at the age of 67. Hello, everyone, and welcome to BookSpark. This channel focuses on sharing insights from great books. We review at least 3 new books every week, so be sure to subscribe. We've organized the full script into a downloadable document, so if you're interested, you can find it linked below. Today, I'm excited to share a very special book with you, How Will You Measure Your Life? This book has been one of the most influential in my own life and is a big reason I'm here today, sharing these insights with you. The author of this book, Professor Clayton Christensen, is also known for his famous works, The Innovator's Dilemma and The Innovator's Solution. He was a globally recognized professor of economics and management, and to me, a personal mentor. How will you measure your life? This is the essential question Professor Christensen asks us. At Harvard Business School, Professor Christensen taught a course called Building and Sustaining a Successful Business, which focused on how innovation can help small and new companies defeat long-standing established businesses. The course discussed various innovations that can help businesses gain new customers and conquer new markets. However, in the final lecture of this course, he shifted the focus to something much deeper, how we should measure our lives. This is often the lecture that leaves the deepest impression on students. In 2009, Professor Christensen was diagnosed with lymphoma, and during that difficult time, he felt his life might be nearing its end. That's when he decided to share his thoughts on how to measure one's life with a broader audience. This book uses many business case studies to explain theories, but it also encourages you to reflect and apply these ideas to your own life. One story in the book dates back to the 1990s, when Andy Grove, then the CEO of Intel, came across Christensen's theory of disruptive innovation. He asked Christensen, "Clay, can you explain how our company can use the theory of disruptive innovation to make improvements?" Christensen replied, "I don't know your company that well. Let me first explain the theory." Grove gave him 10 minutes. Christensen then shared his research on the American steel industry, where small companies started by producing low-end products like rebar and gradually moved up to producing high-end steel plates. These smaller, innovative companies, despite having less refined technology and lower quality products, were able to meet the needs of a vast number of customers. Over time, they gained more market share and new customers, eventually disrupting and overtaking the large, established steel companies. After hearing the theory, Andy Grove said, "I understand. I know how to transform my company now." When you're trying to build a sustainably growing business, the natural tendency is to focus on improving and upgrading your products so that customers will keep buying. But this can trap you into catering to an increasingly niche market, shrinking your customer base and making your products more expensive. While you're climbing higher, small disruptive companies are emerging. Their products may not be as refined or sophisticated, but they are affordable and meet the needs of the majority, and they can disrupt your business. Inspired by Christensen's story of small steel mills, Andy Grove decided Intel needed to create a low-cost Celeron processor to enter the lower-end market. Instead of waiting for smaller companies to disrupt you with cheaper products, it's better to create an internal product line that targets the low end and disrupts yourself. This is how Christensen teaches. He explains a theory and then lets you think through how to apply it yourself. This method also applies to reading this book. When it comes to defining a meaningful life, Christensen asks, what constitutes a good life? He breaks it down into a few key areas. 1. Do I have a successful career? 2. Do I have a happy family? 3. Am I living a life of integrity and staying out of trouble? Let's dive into each one. First, how do you define a successful career? How do you know if your career is truly successful? 1. Understand the basic and motivating factors in your career. Some might say, if I become the CEO, I've made it. Others might say, if I earn a 6-figure salary, I'm successful. But does this kind of success really bring inner fulfillment? Many CEOs or top executives feel immense pressure and stress. They don't feel satisfied or truly love their work. Why? Because the factors we often focus on, status, salary, job security, work conditions, company policies, are what Christensen calls hygiene factors. While these are necessary, they don't bring long-term satisfaction. The real sources of fulfillment are what Christensen calls motivators. These are what give you the passion and energy to work hard and make sacrifices. What are these motivators? For example, does your job present challenges that you can overcome? When you face and conquer challenges, you build confidence and discover your abilities. Another motivator is recognition. Are your efforts recognized by your boss, colleagues, or peers? Do people see you as an expert in your field? Do your contributions make a difference? There's also a sense of responsibility. As a manager, whether you're leading 100 people or 20, do you feel responsible for your team and the work you do? And finally, does your job provide opportunities for personal growth? These are the real motivators that will drive you to love your work and find success in your career. When you think about these factors, whether your career is challenging, whether you gain recognition from those around you, whether you have responsibility and personal growth, you'll realize these are internal motivators that can truly drive you. These are what we call motivational factors. When you strike a balance, meaning your basic factors are satisfied, any improvement in those basic factors becomes a byproduct of happiness, not the actual source of it. What truly brings happiness is finding meaningful work, learning from it, achieving success, and taking on more responsibility. In other words, when your motivational factors are fulfilled, that's when you experience true happiness. That's why people often say that if you do what you love, you'll never feel like you're working a day in your life. For me, recording books for the Fanding Book Club has become a job that brings me immense happiness, no matter how early I have to wake up or how late I stay up. Through my voice and across the screen, I'm able to share the essence of these books with you, as well as my own life experiences and the knowledge I've gained. If this helps you in any way, it gives me deep satisfaction. So I don't see this as work. Therefore, my advice, echoing Professor Christensen's message, is that it's never too late to find a job you're passionate about. Even if you're in your 40s, you can still find work that excites you. 2. Balancing careful planning with serendipitous opportunities. Once you understand your own motivational factors and know what type of need drives you internally, you can pinpoint a career path, industry, or job that will fulfill those needs. For instance, I personally need diversity and variety in my work. Knowing this, I can seek a career or job that provides that. There's a great example in the book. In the 1960s, Honda wanted to enter the U.S. market by selling large motorcycles because Americans are generally big and love powerful, impressive bikes like Harley-Davidsons. Honda's initial strategic plan was to compete in this high-end market. However, when they entered the US, they found it extremely difficult to break into the market dominated by loyal fans of Harley and Triumph motorcycles. Honda had a budget for this plan, but it was quickly getting exhausted without much success. Meanwhile, some of Honda's employees in the US had small motorcycles they had brought from Japan for personal use. When they were feeling down, they would ride these small bikes into the hills near Los Angeles, enjoying the thrill of the winding roads like a form of off-roading. Unexpectedly, these small bikes brought them joy, and one weekend they invited their colleagues to join them. People who saw this small motorcycle team became curious and asked where they could buy the bikes. The employees explained that they were imported from Japan for personal use, but fans began asking if they could purchase these bikes through Honda. Eventually, Honda's small motorcycle, later known as the Super Cub, became a hit. This wasn't part of Honda's original detailed plan. It was an emergent strategy born from an unexpected opportunity. Honda shifted its strategy to capitalize on this demand, using smaller bikes to break into the US market. The lesson here is that nearly all successful strategies are a combination of well-laid plans and unforeseen opportunities. For example, after graduating from Harvard Business School, you might plan to enter a certain industry, build connections, and gain exposure to various people and ideas. But along the way, you'll encounter unexpected opportunities. When an opportunity presents itself that doesn't exactly align with your current career plan, how do you approach it? Do you embrace it, or do you dismiss it because it doesn't fit your plan? Professor Christensen advises adopting an open mindset. You never know when an opportunity might lead you down an entirely new path that could ultimately satisfy your long-term goals and fulfill your internal needs. But how do we know if a new opportunity is worth pursuing? How do we evaluate it? A crucial point Christensen makes is the concept of discovery-driven planning. When facing new opportunities, success is often based on several assumptions. How do you test these assumptions to determine if a strategy will work? Take the example of Disney. We all know how successful Shanghai Disneyland is. Disney had previously opened parks in Los Angeles, Florida, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. When they launched Disneyland Paris, it was a massive investment, but in the first 2 years, they lost nearly $1 billion. Why? Their assumptions didn't match reality. Based on the population of nearby cities, Disney estimated that Paris Disneyland would attract 11 million visitors, with an average stay of 3 days, similar to the patterns at other Disney parks. This projected 33 million guest days annually. However, while 11 million visitors did come, the problem was that most stayed for only 1 day. Why not 3 days? Because while other Disney parks had 45 attractions, too many to experience in 1 day, Paris Disneyland had only 15. Guests could enjoy all the rides in just 1 day, which disrupted Disney's assumptions and resulted in huge losses. The lesson here is that when making life or career plans, you need to understand the assumptions behind your decisions. Can you meet those assumptions? Are they based on sound logic? If my success hinges on a key individual sacrificing their own interests to help me, then that's a critical assumption. Are there people willing to sacrifice their interests to ensure your success? Even though some plans may seem to deviate from your original path, with life's detailed plans and unexpected opportunities, it might feel like a winding upward curve. You might have thought that your detailed plan would be a straight, smooth road, but in reality, different opportunities and circumstances will pull you off course. You may find yourself zigzagging, being pulled right and left at times, but as long as your long-term goal is set and the overall direction of your line remains upward, it's okay if it dips or veers occasionally. You'll still be progressing. Thus, life is unlikely to be a straight, smooth road, nor a simple downward curve. As long as you maintain an upward trajectory throughout the twists and turns, that's all that matters. 3. allocating resources toward your long-term goals. We've talked about planning for your career and embracing opportunities. But there's another common phenomenon. People get distracted by short-term goals and neglect their long-term ones. For example, let's say your long-term goal is to study abroad and get a great job, which requires learning English. But daily work might get too busy, or you might feel lazy or distracted by entertainment, leading you to skip English lessons today and tomorrow. As a result, short-term distractions, whether entertainment or other sources of immediate gratification, will pull you away from your long-term goals, and ultimately, you won't achieve career success. So, what is your long-term goal? What motivates you in the long term, and are you allocating your resources accordingly? Many times, we claim to care deeply about something, but our actual time, energy, money, and resource allocation don't align with our stated priorities. Take, for instance, someone who says they want to build a strong family but also wants to succeed at work. If all their time is spent working late, attending meetings on weekends, and sacrificing quality time with their family, how can they claim their goal is to foster a strong family relationship? The way you thoughtfully manage your personal resources, how you allocate your time, energy, and finances, demonstrates what you truly care about. This is the key to ensuring career success. This phenomenon is not unique to individuals. Companies, governments, and public officials often suffer from what's called misaligned incentives. Let me give you an example. Unilever trains its employees by identifying high-potential workers and giving them 1 to 2 year projects to showcase their abilities. If an employee proves themselves capable, they are promoted to more challenging projects. However, the timeline for these high-potential employees is just 1 to 2 years. As a result, they make decisions that focus on short-term success rather than the company's long-term objectives, which may require sustained progress over several years. This is a case of misaligned incentives, where short-term decision-making overshadows long-term goals. Similarly, in the U.S., congressional representatives are highly intelligent people, responsible for making critical decisions for the country. But they have 2-year terms and need to win votes from constituents. Even if they know that making tough reforms, like changing the healthcare system, would benefit the country long-term, they often avoid taking a stand because they need to win re-election within 2 years. They prioritize short-term gains to retain their position, ignoring the long-term health of the nation. Whether it's a corporation or a country, when everyone is focused on short-term goals, long-term progress suffers, which benefits no one. The same applies to our personal lives. When you choose a career path or set a goal, you must stay focused on the long-term objective. Even if your journey takes a winding path, remember where your starting point is and what your ultimate goal is. Don't lose sight of that line. Thoughtfully manage your resources, because where you spend your time and money is a true reflection of your priorities. You're not voting with your feet, you're voting with your time and money. For example, if you say you want to learn English, then invest in an English course and commit to studying for 30 minutes every day. Where you actually spend your time, energy, and money is where your true priorities lie. Now that we've covered career success, let's talk about life. How can you ensure that your relationships with family and friends become a source of happiness? Professor Christensen said something profound. No amount of career success can compensate for failure in the family. Conversely, the success of any career cannot make up for failure at home. So, what advice does the professor give us about life? Well, 1. Time spent together is more valuable than investments. When you set a long-term goal to have a happy family, have you invested in that goal? Have you allocated your time, energy, and resources to spending more quality time with your family and friends? There's research showing that in the first few months of a child's life, their cognitive development is critically important. Although babies can't speak, They absorb language and knowledge like sponges. On average, people speak about 1,500 words per hour to a baby. Talkative parents speak about 2,100 words per hour, while quiet parents average just 600 words. So, by age 2.5, a baby from a talkative family will have heard 48 million words, while a baby from a quieter household will have heard only 13 million. That's nearly a fourfold difference. The neural nodes in your brain transmit signals from one neuron to another. The more you communicate, the more signals you receive, which enhances your thinking patterns and improves your ability to understand complex issues. For example, when parents talk to their child, saying things like, "Oh, you're so cute. What did you eat today?" Even if it seems trivial, this communication gives the child a significant developmental advantage. So, instead of focusing solely on material investments for your child, it's more important to spend time with them in the first 30 months of their life. Talk to them as much as possible, stimulating their brain and fostering their neural development. We've talked about long-term and short-term goals in life, and the truth is, most workplace demands are focused on short-term goals. For instance, today your boss might require you to work late to complete a project, or you might be called back from a vacation to handle an urgent matter. You might say, "This project is crucial. I need to complete it because I'm up for a promotion, and my evaluation is next month." These demands are immediate and short-term, but cultivating love and attention for your family is a long-term process. Where are you investing your time? People tend to choose things with quick returns. What gives you quick returns? A promotion next month, passing an evaluation, getting more attention from your boss, or completing a project by staying late. These are all things with immediate rewards. The rewards in your career are visible: higher salaries, greater recognition, and promotions. But when it comes to family, it might take 18 years of investment before your child attends a good university, or even longer before they lead a successful life. These are long-term goals that require consistent effort. So, are you more likely to invest in short-term workplace rewards at the expense of your family? Often, family members won't loudly demand your attention. They quietly support you from the background. I'm sure many of our listeners have had successful careers. Perhaps you've sacrificed a lot, time with your family, vacations, even your health, to achieve professional success. You feel important, accomplished, and rewarded with a higher salary, better social standing, and an improved living environment for your family. You might say, "I've provided all these things for my family. As a man, or even as a strong woman in the household, I've given them financial security. Isn't that enough?" But Professor Christensen offers another perspective, one he frequently used in his teachings. He asks us to apply this theory not only to our careers and companies, but also to our lives. It's the job to be done theory. What is the ultimate goal of the work you're doing? For instance, if you develop a new product, what need does it fulfill for your customer? If you design a new technology, is it created in response to the customer's needs? Similarly, in life, why did you get married? Why did your spouse choose you? I love a line from the professor's book. He says, "The path to a happy marriage isn't about finding someone who makes you happy. It's about finding someone whose happiness you want to make a priority. Their happiness is worth your effort. The more you sacrifice and invest in that relationship, the stronger the bond becomes." Remember this: if you're still searching for a partner, or even if you're already married, find someone whose happiness is worth your effort. The more you sacrifice for your spouse, the more love you'll feel for them. Serving your partner deepens your love. Believe in this, because it will guide you in life. Now, if you and your spouse are experiencing conflict, or if there are unresolved issues, you might wonder, why should I be the one to change first? Why should I serve them before they serve me? But I'll tell you this, if you are the wiser one in the relationship, you will be the one willing to open up first and initiate the change. As Gandhi said, Be the change you wish to see in the world. If you take the first step, investing in your partner, you can create a happy marriage. The professor and his wife were truly a model couple. In the 1990s, when he and Andy Grove, Intel's CEO at the time, were invited by Fortune magazine to be on the cover, the professor said, "I really want my wife, Christine, to be part of this cover photo." But they wouldn't allow it. So, he moved his wedding ring from his left hand to the ring finger on his right hand, because in the photo, his right hand was resting on Andy Grove's shoulder. He wanted his wedding ring to appear on the cover of Fortune, as if to say that his wife was a part of his success. This story deeply touched me. Later, in 2009, the professor was diagnosed with lymphoma, followed by a heart attack in 2010, and then a stroke, which left him unable to speak. His last decade was filled with illness. While he beat lymphoma, he eventually developed leukemia. Along the way, he suffered from severe health problems, including shingles and painful ulcers on his feet. Yet, even in his final 2 years, he insisted on sharing household duties with his wife. I once told him, "Clay, your feet are in such bad shape," but he replied, "I promised my wife that if she cooked, I would clean up. It's my commitment to her." At that moment, I was deeply moved. Despite his physical condition, he still honored his commitment to his wife and took on the responsibility of cleaning up. My wife is the smarter one, the better half. All my success, whether in writing or teaching, is because of her. She reads all my work first and gives me feedback to improve it. His wife had such a profound impact on his life. He didn't just express his appreciation to her in private, he made sure everyone knew how important she was to him, ensuring that she felt valued, cherished, and loved. The professor's life serves as a model for the kind of life he teaches us in this book, and it has had a profound influence on me. I hope that hearing his story will help you realize the importance of expressing love to your partner and actively investing in building your relationship. It's not enough to simply say, "I'm good to you." You have to understand the job to be done, understand your spouse. In business terms, they are your customer. What do they truly need from you? It's often your time and care. It's not about telling them what to do or giving advice. It might just be about offering your ear to listen or your arms for a hug. So, invest your time and energy sincerely into your marriage if you want to have a happy relationship. 2. Raising truly your child. We've talked a lot about relationships with our partners, but now let's discuss parenting. Many parents, especially those with abundant resources, often focus on providing material support. They sign their children up for all kinds of classes and experiences, ensuring nothing is missing, whether it's study tours abroad or exposure to new opportunities. While providing resources is not wrong, what is more critical is the development of a child's abilities. How do abilities develop? They come from actual experience. Children need to know what their strengths are, how to understand and build upon them. It's not enough to provide resources. They need to actively do things to develop real skills. To cultivate foresight in raising your children, you can rely on the professor's theories. When you have foresight, you can help your child prepare for the future. You need to understand what they are capable of and what they are not. As parents, we have a unique opportunity to help our children get ready for life. You can support them in 3 key areas: resources, processes, and a values-based decision-making model. 1. Resources. This includes the economic and material resources your child has access to, such as time, knowledge, talent, relationships, and experiences. These resources determine what your child can and cannot do. 2. Processes. This refers to how your child thinks. It encompasses their ability to ask insightful questions, face challenges, overcome obstacles, and collaborate with others. These are less tangible than resources, but are critical in shaping a child into a unique individual. 3. Values. This determines how your child makes decisions in life. It helps them understand which factors should be prioritized and which are secondary. The culture of a family is a reflection of the parents' shared values. What is culture? Culture is how a group of people works toward a common goal in an agreed-upon way that becomes so ingrained that no one thinks of doing it differently. Take Pixar as an example. The company is known for its creative culture. Unlike many other companies where the creative process is confined to a small group, every employee at Pixar is encouraged to contribute ideas, and anyone can give feedback without fear of judgment. This culture of openness and innovation allows them to create groundbreaking and inspiring films consistently. In a business setting, if you want smooth communication within your organization, you need to cultivate an open-door culture. Similarly, in a family setting, you must be intentional in creating a nurturing environment. For instance, the professor and his wife decided early on what kind of family culture they wanted. They agreed that their family would be one of mutual help and love, aligned with their faith in God. They also emphasized the importance of a strong work ethic. How did they teach their children the value of hard work? They ensured their children understood why they worked and that each family member had responsibilities. The professor would engage his children in tasks and explain their importance, turning household chores into enjoyable family bonding moments. After each task, he would express gratitude, making the work rewarding and meaningful. This approach isn't about assigning chores, but about working together. For example, the leaves need to be raked in the yard. Let's do it together. Children appreciate quality time with their parents, and these shared moments reinforce family bonds. Remember, building family culture takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. As parents, you must be consistent. Perhaps your family is known for certain qualities. To maintain this family culture, consistency is key. Children need to know which behaviors will be praised, and these behaviors should align with your family's values. For example, if contributing to household chores is a valued part of your family culture, then you should encourage and praise your child for their participation, helping them grow into responsible individuals. By maintaining consistency and leading by example, you will instill these values in your children, helping them grow into individuals who reflect the values of your family rather than someone else's. The above part is about family. Now, why does the professor talk about in the third part how we can lead a life of integrity and avoid ending up in jail? In 2000, one of the top 10 companies in the US, Enron, collapsed overnight. The reason for this collapse was that the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Enron, who was also one of the professor's classmates, made decisions that did not comply with the ethical management of financial metrics. As a result, the company lost all its value in an instant. The professor realized that not only did this classmate go to jail, but other classmates did as well. You might think that ending up in jail is something that wouldn't happen to you. However, if you build a highly successful career and have a fulfilling family life, your influence will be immense, and the temptations you face could be even greater. When you reach that point, you may find it easier to engage in unethical behavior, and your potential to cause harm becomes larger. This is why the professor emphasizes that after achieving a successful career and family, we must be vigilant in maintaining our integrity throughout life. The temptations are too great, and it's too easy to slip into unethical behavior. 1. The trap of marginal thinking. How can we lead a life of integrity and avoid criminal behavior? The professor shares a business concept: total cost theory versus marginal thinking. In the 1990s, Blockbuster dominated the US video rental industry. Every neighborhood had a Blockbuster store filled with DVDs or videotapes. You could rent a movie, but if you returned it late, you'd pay extra fees. Blockbuster made money from this. At the same time, a new company called Netflix emerged. Today, Netflix is a massive media company, but back then, they had a completely different business model. Instead of in-store rentals, they mailed DVDs to customers and charged a monthly subscription fee. I remember when Netflix first started, the monthly fee was around $7.99, or even as low as $4.99, but you could only rent one DVD at a time. For example, you could watch it quickly, mail it back, and they'd send you another one. It was a completely different model from Blockbuster. By 2002, Netflix had reached $150 million in revenue with a 36% profit margin, growing rapidly. Blockbuster's investors started to worry, but after studying Netflix's business model, Blockbuster's management concluded that there was no need to be concerned. They thought Netflix was catering to a niche market since not everyone would want to bother with mailing DVDs. Blockbuster believed Netflix's model had limited potential. They didn't think people would want to rent online. After all, many people didn't have internet access, and concerns about using credit cards online made it seem like a niche market. Moreover, Blockbuster worried that entering the online rental business might cannibalize their existing revenue. And because starting a new business incurs high marginal costs, Blockbuster decided not to pursue online rentals. But only 9 years later, in 2011, Netflix had 24 million customers. Today, Netflix has over 182 million subscribers worldwide. In contrast, Blockbuster went bankrupt in 2010. What does this teach us? It shows how marginal thinking misled Blockbuster. They focused on maximizing short-term marginal returns, but they missed out on a completely new market. The just this once mentality is a form of marginal thinking, like saying, I'll accept this bribe just this one time, or I'll fudge the financial report just this once. The marginal cost of that single action seems insignificant, but the total cost may be much higher. Take the professor's classmate at Enron, the CFO. He wasn't ignorant, he knew the rules, but he thought altering the numbers once wouldn't matter. It worked the first time, and he kept doing it because it felt easy. Human nature finds it hard to stop after succeeding in breaking the rules once. This same mindset can be found among high-ranking officials, corporate executives, Wall Street traders involved in insider trading, or even Olympic athletes who think, I'll take performance-enhancing drugs just this once. Such thinking often leads to disqualification and disgrace. The mentality of just this once can lead us down a dangerous path. 2. The strength of total commitment. So how can we avoid these traps? The professor offers a key piece of advice. 100% commitment is easier to maintain than 98% commitment. What does this mean? Let me share a small story. When the professor was working at Boston Consulting Group, a company known for its intense workload, his boss once asked him to attend an important meeting on a Sunday. The professor replied, I'm sorry, Sunday is my day for God, I can't attend. The boss was frustrated and left. Later, the boss came back and said, okay, we'll move the meeting to Saturday. Can you come on Saturday? The professor responded, I'm sorry, Saturday is for my family. I can't make it. Angrily, the boss left again, but later returned saying, Clay, can you at least come to work on Friday? The professor said, of course, I'll be there. The point is, the professor had a clear commitment to his values. He set clear boundaries for what was non-negotiable in his life. By sticking to 100% commitment, he found it easier to maintain his principles than if he had tried to make exceptions. In life, the temptations to compromise are numerous. By committing 100%, you avoid the slippery slope of making just this once exceptions, which can lead to bigger mistakes. This is a true story about how the professor stuck to his principles. In the end, the boss asked, Clay, can you work on Friday? Although the boss wasn't happy, he still made that change for him. Why? Because in the 5 days that the professor worked, he was undoubtedly reliable, always completing tasks with thoroughness and dedication. His consistent performance made the boss willing to accommodate his needs. I'm not telling you this story so you can refuse your boss and say, "I won't work on Sundays or Saturdays." The point is to understand the principle that 100% commitment is easier to maintain than 98%. When you can live by that rule and stand firm in what you know is right, you will be able to lead a life of integrity and steer clear of unethical behavior. I hope this story offers you some insight. Professor Clayton Christensen passed away on January 23, 2020. In his final 10 years while battling illness, he remained incredibly grateful. During those years, he published 3 more books: How Will You Measure Your Life?, The Innovator's Dilemma, and The Prosperity Paradox. If you have the chance, I encourage you to read them as well. So, how will you measure your life? How will you define your life's purpose? And how will you follow through to the end? The professor says that each person should have a clear picture of their life's goal. What is it you truly want to achieve? You should have a vivid image sketched out in your mind. If you go through life aimlessly without a clear goal, it's hard to live a rich and fulfilling life. Once you have this image, you need to feel deeply connected to it. This image shouldn't be imposed on you by others, but rather it should come from deep within, a true desire of your heart. And finally, how will you measure your life? What is your yardstick? Is it money? Is it status? Or is it the quality of your relationships? The professor says, the most important measure of life is whether every person I have helped has become a better person. I hope you can use his teachings, ask yourself this question: how will I measure my life? And find your own answer.